Okay, so we finally have the aluminum block Gen 453 for this car and the AR5 5-speed transmission from the Chevy Colorado. So this will be the drivetrain for Suzy Q. I have to get a cam for this engine because it did have a collapsed lifter on cylinder 1, and then I had to get that FabBot adapter kit to be able to get this AR5 on there using a 4L60E bell housing. So obviously we're still missing a lot of parts, but we can go ahead and get the car cut apart so that way we can set this in there and start getting it positioned so we can make the mounts and then the rear cross member, and then we'll be able to figure out what headers and oil pan we're gonna end up using. So there's still a lot of little details, but the big step is gonna be getting this engine mounted in the car. So hopefully that's what we can get done. All right, so now that we got the engine sitting in the car, I know what you're gonna say. The very first thing that you notice is that this thing is pretty far back in the engine bay. But let's talk about why that is. So the engine bay of this car and everything about the way that this car was designed is for a front wheel drive configuration, okay? This engine is in position on the subframe where it needs to be, as far as if this subframe was still in a Mustang, this is where the engine would sit on that subframe. We can't go any further forward on the subframe because of the clearance that we have for a harmonic balancer on the sway bar. As a matter of fact, I'm probably just gonna push this back just a teensy bit more just to make sure that I'm not gonna hit here. And then the shifter just so happened to line up in just the right spot for where the factory shifter was. On the inside of the car, obviously the wheel arch kind of bulges into the cabin of the car. So it obviously doesn't give us a lot of room over this way for pedals to be here, but realistically you've got clutch, brake, gas. It's gonna be a tight squeeze, but once again, I mean, I don't wanna move this forward and throw off the balance of this entire thing just for pedals. It doesn't make any sense. The black car, the Sleeper GTP, it's got an F-body K-member in the front of it, and the engine is far forward on that. The issues that caused is really tight oil pan clearance. So it was difficult to get an oil pan that was gonna fit. As a matter of fact, I had to modify a Jegs steel 7-quart pan just to be able to get that to work. And overall, I mean, it looks good in the engine bay because it takes up most of the engine bay. But the fact of the matter is that it was hanging really far over the front track of the car. So the front, line of where the wheels are, it was hanging far over it. So in turn, that makes the car pretty nose heavy. Now, when I'm driving the car, do I really notice that? No, not per se, but the fact of the matter is that this engine being where it's at helps bring in that center of balance. It helps get everything more in between the wheels. So in turn, that's gonna give us a better handling car. So we need to get motor mounts made for this thing, and we're gonna have to get a cross member made. I think on this video, we're just gonna try to do the motor mounts themselves, and then I'll go back through on the cross member off camera, so that way that the next thing that we work on is gonna be getting that transmission tunnel done. All right, so we've got the mounts in the car. The engine's looking pretty solid. It doesn't get much simpler than this. I mean, it's just obviously 3 pieces of metal welded to those mounts like we looked at. But I don't see how that's gonna flex at all. I mean, we're probably gonna go in here and trim these edges up and make it look a little bit nicer. May or may not put some plates on the ends of this just to clean up the look once again. But overall, this was quick, easy, and it works. We still have plenty of room down here for the oil pan. It's a little close for this bolt here. And I mean, it's still gonna be really close to that rack. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the amount of room that I have there. And I have plenty of room on the back to be able to put the sump, you know, for the sump of the pan to sit back there without having to modify it, hopefully. So yeah, other than that, I mean, we're pretty much done with the subframe mounting and engine mounting. We still have to get these struts figured out as far as bringing them into the right position to get our camber sorted out, but we'll worry about that maybe on the next video, who knows. I just know that I need to get that transmission cross member done, so that way this thing will be completely mounted in there, and then we can start working on that transmission tunnel next video. So there it is. I mean, we're moving right along. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll catch you on the next one.